Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders. Jamie here, joined as always by little Callum. Hi
Hey.
Callum, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Super duper. We have a very special guest today, one that we are very excited about. One of the hottest prospects in British wrestling, the wonderful, the amazing Mariah May. Hello, Mariah.
What an introduction.
That's the nicest introduction I've ever heard you give.
That's the nicest introduction I've ever gotten. Wow.
One take, Jamie.
You should get Jamie to be your personal ring announcer or something.
Yeah, like my hype man.
Yeah. You've never said anything that nice about me before.
There's a reason for that.
Right, well, so welcome to the show, Mariah. Thank you for joining us today. Like Jamie said, pleasure to have you here. And one thing I'd like to know straight away is something we've been asking people recently is, what have you been doing with the downtime from wrestling? I'm guessing you have a fairly busy schedule anyway, wrestling for a fair few promotions around the UK. How have you been filling that time where you've not been wrestling?
See, it's really tough because wrestling kind of became my life, which I was really fortunate because everyone's kind of, when you start wrestling, your ideal situation is to be wrestling every single weekend. And I'd got to a position where I work full time. So I work Monday to Friday, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd be wrestling. And it was, it was so hectic because you didn't get a day off. But it was now that you're literally doing nothing, it's you miss it so much and you kind of wish you could go back to that stress and that juggling. You take the juggling of it because you just wish you could do it again. When everything kind of slowly kind of cut off and stopped, I didn't really know what to do with myself, but I do a lot of YouTube. And so I thought, okay, then, well, I'll just get into that. But a lot of the stuff that I do on YouTube is wrestling related. So it'll be wrestling vlogs where I kind of take them on the road with me, talk about that, talk about new gear, talk about, all that kind of stuff that is being wrestler, training videos. And I was like, well, I can't do any of that. So, but I just came up with different ideas. And I think I've just been trying to do YouTube just to channel, I guess, something creative and just kind of set myself mini goals in a sense, just so I have something to do, because I'm one of those people I like to keep busy, and with not having wrestling, I think a lot of wrestlers are feeling this, that you feel really anxious and you feel quite low. So I found that just trying to channel that into something else, channel it into YouTube, I've had a lot of fun with it, and I've been pretty active on there. I posted 5 videos one day and I thought, this has gone too far now, I need to give it a rest. But it's keeping me busy and kind of, at least temporarily trying to fill that gap. So yeah, just YouTube and just trying to, keep in shape and things like that, and Netflix, I'll be honest.
What have you been watching on Netflix?
What haven't I been watching on Netflix? I think I've cleaned it out. If I'm completely, I've run out of good series to watch now. I feel like I've exhausted it. I've moved on to Amazon Prime, watching Vikings, but I'm really early on. So if you've seen it, no spoilers, anyone. But yeah, I've moved on to Amazon Prime now. I've exhausted Netflix.
I've just moved on to Amazon Prime too, actually, because I completed Netflix.
Completed it, mate.
Yeah, completed it. Nothing I haven't seen. So I moved on to Amazon Prime because I never go on Amazon Prime. It's always an afterthought when it comes to...
It's a backup, isn't it?
Yeah. A backup to a backup. Because
there's not much on there. There's a couple of good films, and then Vikings is really good. But other than that, I'm just why do I pay for this?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I'm at that point with Netflix where I don't know what to watch. There's only so many times I can watch Sons of Anarchy over and over again. I don't understand how to use Amazon. I've got Callum's login, but I still don't understand it. So he's got to...
We don't use Amazon Prime for the video service. We use it for the next day delivery. That's all we use it for.
But the thing is as well, Amazon Prime's great. It's got a good selection, but it's not all free. So you have Amazon Prime and you have access to some series, and there's a couple of good ones, a couple of good films. And then you'll see things and be oh yeah, go on then. And then you go to watch it, but it's not Prime, so you'd have to pay a couple of quid for that. And imagine you're doing that all day, multiple days. You're going to end up spending 20, 30 quid a week when you're actually paying for a streaming service. At least with Netflix, you get it all. You pay your 10 quid or whatever it is now, and you're getting everything. But yeah.
Have you got Disney Plus yet?
Well, someone in my house has Disney Plus, so I've put myself into that and stolen their login and got in there. Yeah, I've watched it because obviously when I was growing up, I watched Disney Channel. So I watched all them, and then they've got all the Star Wars films and stuff. So I'm thinking that's going to be my next. Well, I've seen them, but I'm thinking rewatching them. When you can sit down and just rewatch a whole. Because when am I ever going to get the time to watch all the Star Wars? Never, ever again. So
Yeah, I think Disney Plus was the only silver lining to being on lockdown, because the day they announced lockdown is the day Disney Plus came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's good timing, I guess. It gives us something to watch.
That's the same as Animal Crossing came out on the Switch. Like, I love Animal Crossing and stuff, but I feel like people who probably wouldn't have got it kind of ended up getting it just because they had nothing else to do. Like, it was the best marketing strategy by accident that they could have had, because like even one of my friends, like, she bought a Switch just to play Animal Crossing. And I was just like, this is crazy for them, because they probably sold way more than they ever would have, because everyone's sitting at home playing it. Like, I mean, I had mine pre-ordered, big fan, but you know, everyone's just sitting at home playing it, so works out well for them.
You're gonna find out how shit I am now, Mariah. Callum, what's a Switch?
I knew you were going to ask. Callum, what's Animal Crossing?
Where is my? Oh, it's on the other side of the room. It's like
I'm so out of the loop with all of this technology and stuff. I've never heard of a Switch.
Do you ever play a DS? A DS? No, a Game Boy.
I can't turn a computer on, if that helps.
Do you ever play a Game Boy?
No.
How do we Callum
had to show me how to use the Just Eat app. I mean, that's
quite bad.
Yeah, he's technically challenged. That's
really.
Yeah.
It's just it's from Nintendo. Do you know Nintendo? Have you heard of
Nintendo?
The whole interview now, I'm just gonna be like, have you heard of this? Do you know what this? It's like you just play games on it, but it's called the Switch. Because this confused me, right? Because you can just, if you're in the middle of playing it, you don't even have to save it and close it. You can just pop it into this thing and it goes on the telly. So you can kind of carry it around. So it's like this thing called a DS, which was like a portable game console, but you can also put it in the TV.
Sounds snazzy.
I should work for them.
I once tried to turn Callum's laptop on by rubbing the screen. Do you remember?
Yeah, you thought my laptop was touchscreen, and he's trying to close something down, going, "Why isn't it working?" and touching the screen. Like, Jamie, that's not how it works, mate.
I am useless when it comes to anything technology. I don't get it. I don't get it.
While we're on the subject of Animal Crossing, I've got to ask, what are your opinions on Tom Nook, and why is he a greedy capitalist?
I don't want to talk about Tom Nook because I don't want to get angry. I'm not, honestly, he gives you a 10 at the beginning. You've never played Animal Crossing, right? Because you don't have a Switch. You don't know what it, like, you don't know how it, basically you're paying for a game where you're literally living your real life but surrounded by animals, because you have to pay a mortgage and you have to work, right? And what happens is you start the game and this cheeky little raccoon gives you a tent, and you get the tent, and then he goes like, oh, that'll be like 5 million bells to like pay it off. And you're thinking, hold on a minute, I don't even want the tent. And then every time you upgrade the house, like, you get a house in the end, you upgrade it, you have to pay. Like, my mortgage now is like nearly 2 million. I mean, are you joking? Like, I live at my parents' house. I'm not used to this kind of pressure of paying a 2 million mortgage. I'm out there sowing the land. Like, how you make money is like selling like apples and like digging up fossils and things. Like,
very minimal bells. Like, you don't get much bells.
No, Tom Nook's not a real person.
He might as well be. He gets so much.
I feel like he is. I feel like he is. He's impacted my life that much. I feel like he is.
He sounds like a Tory if he was a real person. But
he's a crook. Tom Crook. That is his name. But yeah, I've got to laugh because everybody who I know. You
two have just completely lost me for this so far.
I do feel like they've tried to make him the baby face now, because like they've made him really cute, because obviously the graphics have gone up. So when Animal Crossing was out before, it was on the DS, right? So the graphics were good, but you know, left much to be desired. And then now the graphics are really good. So he like scratches his belly and like he like drinks little soda drinks and stuff. And the old Tom Nook he would never scratch his belly in front of a client.
They've repackaged.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've brought him back with a new gimmick, tried to make him cute because
more likable.
He was the top heel on the DS version. Nobody liked him, and it's, to me, I'm just not buying it. Like, it's kind of like
see through him. I mean, I liked him until he told me my mortgage was 2 million bells, and I thought, well, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you want me to pay that off by selling apples? Are you kidding? But yeah, I'm glad we got that out of the way, because
you're so left out.
Yeah. Hi.
I think the last game Jamie played was Solitaire, probably, or something like that.
What was the last
game you played, Jamie?
Solitaire is that one on the computer, isn't it?
Computer.
Yeah.
Never played that. The
You
last
never
game
played it?
I've never played that, no.
Minesweeper?
I've never played a game on a computer, if that helps. I've never downloaded a game on my phone. I've never had never.
Why do you get fun
What do
stuff?
you do? What do you do like when you're like on the train or like just bored? Like
I don't. I've been at work, to be honest with you, so I haven't had. I'm still working, but when I'm not at work, I come home and I don't know. I have a guitar.
You take selfies and post them to social media. That's what you do.
All right. I admit, Mariah, I might have a bit of an Instagram addiction, but apart from that,
this is all really surprising me. Everything that's coming out of your mouth is not what I expected. This is amazing.
I literally, I'm happy. I have a guitar in the corner. I've got a bottle of whiskey on the side. I'm
That's
happy.
me. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Moving away slightly from Animal Crossing then, so Jay can get back in the loop. I'd like to know what got you into wrestling. So we're speaking about like you're very busy usually with your wrestling schedule, but what got you into wrestling initially? What was the spark that made you realize this is something I want to do?
So I have 2 older brothers and I've watched wrestling for as long as I can remember. And I'm guessing it's because of them. Whenever I talk to my mum about it, she's like, oh yeah, the boys got you into that. Like I came back one day and you were all watching it. And then every like Friday we'd watch SmackDown and stuff. We were obsessed. And then as we got older and stuff, I think they moved on to other things, but I never really did. Like I just love wrestling and it's always kind of been in my life, but in different ways. Like when you're a kid, you just love it. I loved it. So I wanted to be Mickie James. She was like my hero. And like, that's what really got me into it is people like Mickie James and Jeff Hardy, because it's such, you don't realize it at the time because you're just, you're just a kid and you like them and you don't know why you like them, but you do. But like now when I'm older, it's because of this charisma that they had and, the way they could connect with you and stuff. And then as I got older and things like that, I did a lot of sports. I did a lot of theatre and stuff, but I wasn't really like happy with it. I enjoyed it, but I always wanted to wrestle. And so like I felt if I don't ever try it, or at least like give myself that chance, I'm just going to regret it, or like years down the line, maybe try it, but kind of wish I did it when I just told myself to. So yeah, and then I started training and then now I wrestle.
Can you remember your first memory in wrestling? Like, what was the first match you saw? Who was the first person you saw?
I can't remember like my first memory, but memory that really sticks out, it's a bit obscure, is do you remember when Teddy Long used to make the tag matches and it was Undertaker and Kane? And I don't know if they were like reuniting for like just a special one-off, or if they would, I think they might have been, but they made MVP and Mr. Kennedy wrestle them and they were so scared. And obviously I'm a child, like, so for me, like they're the scariest people ever, and I'm like, oh my god, like what would you do in that situation? Like when they're all too scared to get in the ring, I'm like, this is literally me. Like I wouldn't want to get in there. So that's like my earliest memory, but it just goes to show like how amazing these characters were, that as a kid I'm literally sitting there at home thinking, oh my god, I wouldn't want to get in there either. What are they gonna do?
It was during
I was the same. I remember when you said Undertaker. I remember when Undertaker debuted in 1990. And I was I'm 36, by the way, so I'm a bit older than you probably are. And I remember watching Survivor Series 1990, and I shit myself when he came out, Undertaker. I was 6 years old, and I'm like, this guy is 7 foot. And I believed Bobby Heenan all the time. Bobby Heenan said he was dead. I believed he was dead. I would turn to my dad and say, well, how is he dead, but he's doing this? I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? I remember that match you're talking about. I remember watching that actually.
It was during the era when Teddy Long, if you even annoyed him slightly, you'd always end up in
go one-on-one with the Undertaker.
Yeah, or in a tag team match, player, whatever. And it's just like, don't annoy Teddy Long, or you will go on one-on-one with the Undertaker. And I think I was quite a bit older at the time, probably late teens or something. But I remember thinking then, like, even then it was like, this is really cool. Like that was a great era of SmackDown. So you probably got in like a really good time.
Because that's when I was kind of just watching it. So I'm guessing I'd been watching it for a few years before that.
Yeah.
With my brothers, and they kind of grew up because this is when I watched it alone. But I just always remember it because I think I just found it like so funny. But like obviously I was just like scared. And also, am I like making this up? But didn't Teddy Long have a heart attack like in an angle? And I thought he died.
Yeah, he did.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm a kid, so I'm like, he's dead. And I've always thought he was dead. And then when he popped back up, I thought, what's happened?
How is he alive?
What is this? Wrestling blew my mind as a child. Like, I have such, like, do you know what I mean? Like, false information. Because I'm like, what's going on? They can come back to life. I don't understand.
It wouldn't be the weirdest thing in wrestling, though, would it? Someone coming back to life. Like,
No.
It's happened 3 times this week already. AJ Styles, Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, and
Poor
AJ
guy.
last month. Yeah.
Oh, I love what they're doing with AJ Styles though. When he was in the Money in the Bank match, and every time he saw like the Undertaker's like picture or something, he would be like,
Trauma. Yeah, like flashbacks to the Boneyard match. Yeah.
I said to you tonight because we talked about thinking after Rusty's return back. Obviously, there's reasons for why they brought him back so soon. But we were talking about how much we still want them to bring in the element of like the Undertaker's changed him. So like you said, I liked that little nod at Money in the Bank where you saw the picture on the wall and then got pushed into the room. I won't tell you the gimmick that I thought they should bring him back as, because Callum will probably just cut me off right now. But yeah, I love what they're doing. And everyone just comes back from the dead. You get away with Mayday. You can blow.
I mean, Baron Corbin's just some sort of like maniac.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember back to even like WrestleMania. Didn't he like throw Elias like off the
he tried
before?
To kill it.
Yeah, he threw off the
that was the first one, and we should have known. And now he's gone on a rampage and he's taken out about 5 people. I think we all need to be asking some questions.
Yeah, like,
to kids, like they're probably thinking, "What is going on?" You know what I mean? Like even I was like, when Rey Mysterio went off the roof, I was like, "Well, you know what I mean?" And then he just threw another. I was like, "Nah, he's on a rampage."
Yeah, I mean, how do you justify that? I mean, what made me laugh was in storyline he just murdered 2 people, but the match carried on. Everyone's still just concerned about getting the briefcase.
Cool as you like. Well, I mean, yeah. Why not?
Normal
this far.
But
apparently it was only 6 foot. You know, only a little 6 foot drop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that.
And then poor Rey Mysterio, on the Monday after, he got his face stomped into a steel step by Seth Rollins. It's like, are you trying to write this guy off? Like, I know his contract is expiring soon, but there's easier ways to do it.
He's indestructible, though. He just won't die. That made me, like, when you're watching something and, like, it's so grim. Like, when he was doing that, I was just like, I actually can't watch it because, like, it just made me really squeamish for some reason. When he was putting his eye into the step, I was just like,
It was very well done. Like, it's often that you feel uncomfortable watching wrestling these days, I find, like, because you see so much happen. So when something does make you feel uncomfortable, you're like, yeah, they've really done quite good with that.
Yeah, they've done a good job there. I thought Raw was really good, though. I thought it was a really, really good one.
Yeah.
I've not watched it yet. I've got it still to watch.
Are we giving you spoilers?
No, spoiler away.
Becky Lynch is pregnant. Sorry.
I know all the. I know what happened. I've just not actually watched it yet.
It's a really good one. I feel like it's one of their best. Wait, are you joking?
Did you just ruin that for me?
No, I was only making it up.
I'm joking.
I knew you were. I was like, well, he's not.
What do you think of the empty arena shows in general, then? How do you think it's been handled?
I mean, like, I'm enjoying it because, like, at least we have something to watch, I guess, for other, like, people who are fans of sports and even, like, a lot of TV shows, like soaps and stuff, they're going to be running out now, like their backlog. But like, at least for us, like, we have something to watch. And I thought WrestleMania was brilliant, and I really enjoyed Money in the Bank. Some of them, obviously it's not the same, is it? But I hate to complain because I just think, they're doing the best with the situation that they can. You can't, well, there's no atmosphere, well, yeah, obviously there's no crowd, and they always say like fans are part of the show, and it does just show how much that kind of reaction and the fans mean. But like, even I think WrestleMania, like, I think they did some like really, really good moments in there, and I actually kind of, at home when you kind of feel the pop almost, but there was no one there, but you kind of felt that kind of moment.
Yeah,
like when Mandy came out and slapped Sonya and like helped Otis and stuff, at home, I actually was like, oh god, yes, you know, like that's amazing. And obviously the Boneyard match and the Firefly Funhouse match, like we probably wouldn't have seen, you know, almost like these cinematic kind of matches, and Money in the Bank, which Money in the Bank I actually would like to see every year, because for me I thought it was just, you got to see so many people's characters, like, you know, especially for me, like the women like Dana and Carmella, like you actually got to see like, you know, comedy, and you got to see like, I think it made them more likable, because you might not know them that well, like they, you know, they haven't been wrestling that much, like Dana and stuff, so it's like you actually got to see this funny side of them, and they all kind of got moments, and you also got the crossover with the guys and the girls, and it wasn't overdone, it was just at the right moments, and all the cameos and stuff. So I'd want to see Money in the Bank like that every year.
I completely agree with you there. I would be more happy if it was done at the WWE headquarters every year, because it was so much fun. If you ask me, that was the greatest ladder match in history. Like the ladder was used.
Let's not ask you then.
I'm only kind of joking when I say that as well. But,
I must admit, I did mark out when Brother Love came out of the toilet. I don't know why.
But it just had so many like good things, and like something for everyone as well, you know.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I even texted you and I can't understand how entertained I am.
Sports.
It's the fact people are still moaning on Twitter, but the shit show that is the world at the moment. And these guys are putting on this show for us, so we can forget about the shit show for a few hours. I thoroughly was entertained. I loved it from start to finish. It was brilliant, and I'd happily have it every year. I'm with you on that.
Because I feel like you can do a ladder. I know Money in the Bank is iconic, but you could have a ladder match for like the tag belts, the women's belt. You know, you can have a ladder match for everything. But like, what kind of scenario can you have it where like, you know, it's almost like they made it like a thing now. I feel like, because the thing is as well, because it was, you know, like so well thought out, there would, like we said with the AJ thing, there was so many moments where it was just like brilliant, and like I feel like every single person, and it's hard to do that in a ladder match, let alone two matches at the same time with like so many people. I feel like genuinely every single person got multiple opportunities to kind of like entertain people, and like, you know, when I'm going on Twitter like in between and I'm having a look, like, you know, people are just loving it, and they're talking about all these different people, like when normally they might not get that chance to kind of shine and like show off, you know, their like, it's storytelling, isn't it? Like that's what wrestling is. And like now you're forced to like really tell a story, because you just, you know, no fans, and then you're having like a Money in the Bank ladder match. It's almost a bit like, not uncomfortable, but is it just a bit far? Like, is it a bit extreme to be having like like, you know, all these crazy ladder matches? At least when they put this kind of almost comic twist on it, it was like, it was more watchable. Like you could like absorb it better, because it was like watching almost like a TV soap. Do you know what I mean? It was like, oh, go on then, like this is entertainment, not people, you know, whacking each other with ladders and there's no one there, and you're like, oh, you know.
I think it's something that needs to stay in WWE, especially going forwards, even after the pandemic's over and we can have the crowds back. I feel like cinematic wrestling has just become something that needs to stay. I love the Boneyard match, and the Firefly Funhouse match was awesome. Two of the greatest like segments I've seen in a long time, because it was so creative. And I think, like you said, it can bring out a different aspects of storytelling, which WWE hasn't had for a long time, where you really get to see these characters and people evolve and become who they really are, because sometimes it's hard to tell that story just based on a 5-minute match. You can't really connect with people as well and show your character. So do you feel like the cinematic matches are something that needs to stay about, or just be more common in wrestling?
I think so, but maybe like, you know how, like, for example, they had the Super Showdown, right? And it was a network special. I feel like it almost, like, if they do have a cinematic match, say they do a cinematic Money in the Bank, I feel like it needs to be alone, like, even just like a 60-minute show on the network. I don't think it should be, say you have the whole pay-per-view and then you play that to the crowd, because the crowd are just going to be like, oh, we want, you know, live wrestling, which fair enough, you're paying like $100 for a ticket, you want to see it, right? So I feel like they should keep it, but it should be like network specials for them almost. Do you know what I mean? Like something, or like even they play it on Raw or something. But I don't think it should be something where the crowd sit and watch it. Like, because I think you know when sometimes segments are long and the crowd are watching it and they kind of get like annoyed because they want to see, you know, they want to see it in person. So I think maybe they could do it, but as network specials. But it would be interesting then, because they say they did the Money in the Bank as like a network special, then are they just going to scrap the whole pay-per-view? Like, what happens then? But they've got so many now, I guess you probably could.
I mean, at one point there was 2 pay-per-views a month, like 24 a year. That's a lot. So I think you can put one of them towards like a cinematic pay-per-view would be really cool. And like I said, that's a really good idea, having them as specials on the network. I think it's something that would actually bump up subscriptions a bit, because, to be honest with you, I would pay for the subscription just for the cinematic matches.
Yeah.
But
I think as well, just to what you said in the Boneyard match, do you think as well that a match like that, the cinematic match, I think it's going to possibly prolong Undertaker's career if you put him in them kind of matches? You know, obviously, he can't. He said himself he can't physically go all that much anymore. But the Boneyard match was absolutely incredible. Do you think that's maybe something that's going to prolong his career?
I think so, but have you been watching, on the network, they've been doing like a special on The Undertaker? I kind of feel like he's going to want to have, a wrestling match as his last. You know what I mean? Like he knows he's a legend and he knows what his standard is. And like, I personally enjoyed him versus Roman Reigns. Like, I really enjoyed it as a fan. I thought it was great, but he wasn't happy with it. So for him, he didn't want to walk out on that. So I feel like he's going to want to, I mean, I'm speaking for him, like I know him, I don't. But like, I feel
you
like...
You and I go way back, yeah.
But
don't worry, you're all right.
But I feel like from watching that, the sense of like who he is and like his values, and I just feel like he's going to want to have like a wrestling match to go out on where he is as good as he ever was, because he always says like he didn't want to stick around for so long, and then people said, oh, you should have seen him when he was in his prime. So I think for him and like his mentality, like he's going to want to have a wrestling match. But I personally would like to see more matches like that. And I also kind of feel like they kind of did like buried alive matches and stuff. Like they kind of changed as time went on, because I guess maybe with the PG rating they had to kind of tone it down maybe. But I remember like, when you watch back, like they were kind of almost like the Boneyard match, but in the arena. I know it was way toned down, but maybe they could do something with like a buried alive, or when they like literally dig up the ground. And like, as a kid, I was like, they've died. How do they do this? They're dead. They've been buried. That's it. They're gone. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the first part the other night. I openly admit it. I shed a tear. I love Taker. I totally agree with what you're saying. I do think the cinematic matches could prolong his career a bit longer, but I totally agree with you. He's going to want to go out on that one match that he thinks to himself, that was the one, I'm done.
Definitely, yeah.
I can go jump on my bike and...
Yeah. I went to WrestleMania 33, so I saw Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. And like you said, it wasn't actually that bad of a match.
No, I'm not even saying. I actually thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
like, I really enjoyed it. But I mean, even being a wrestler, right? So like, I'm a new wrestler in my first year, so I can only imagine how much this like increases as you go on, and like you're like a legend like Undertaker. But even I have like, I'll leave a match and be like, no, I'm not happy with that. Like like you almost feel like you need to redeem yourself and like have another match with that person, or have another match at that promotion, or you just want to wrestle again to kind of, because you don't feel happy with it. And then you might show it to other people and they say like, I don't get it, like I like it. But if you personally feel like, nah, that wasn't good enough, then you can't shake that feeling. And I guess that's like, maybe that would be the same with anything you do. Like if you have a career and you do something, you think, oh, that's not good enough. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who says what, you're still going to feel like you need to go back and do more. So I feel like
you need to prove it to yourself as well, which is just important, I guess.
Yeah, because you have to retire and you have to feel like, okay, I'm done, to kind of be able to like let all of that go. And so I guess I think he's going to want to have that wrestling match, but I wonder who it would be against. That
was my next question. If The Undertaker's to go out, say, next year, who on the current roster do you think is worthy of having that last match with The Undertaker, and also bringing out that match he can be proud of and go out on a high note with?
I think it's really hard. Like I say, like for me, like the Roman Reigns thing, it just made sense, and like I enjoyed it, but I understand that wasn't the end. But I mean, I almost feel like it would be AJ, and I feel like because they didn't get to have their like almost, like it was a cinematic match, feel like because I didn't get to have that kind of traditional wrestling match, I almost feel like that might be the end, and that might be like and AJ is like the best of the best, you know, so you couldn't pick a better person as well, kind of to go out with some, and given that the kind of maybe they're just doing it to make it make sense, but I feel like the story is kind of continuing a bit, because even when they were kind of plugging the network show, AJ Styles was in there when the Undertaker show was on, and I was like, I almost feel like they're going to drip it onto like next year, and then maybe, because you know, I feel like that would make sense, but then he kind of murdered him, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's true. They're dripping it a little bit. They're keeping it in your mind, like with AJ being scared of the Undertaker at Money in the Bank. I feel like it's going to consume him a little bit, and in his head, he's going to go to maybe quite a dark place. And the only way to get out is by beating the Undertaker next year. So it's a very easy story to tell. And I think as fans, we'd all like to see that again. Like that would be cool. But you mentioned as well, I just want to go back to you with wrestling. You've only been in wrestling for 1 year, did you say? And is that training for a year, or is that just a year of wrestling?
A year of shows, and then I trained for a year before that, so 2 years altogether.
And you've been doing tours with All Star Wrestling.
Yeah.
How has that been? Because I've heard from so many people, doing the All Star tours is where you really learn to be a wrestler.
Yeah, like I can't even explain it, because it's astonishing how much you improve. And I did the half-term week, so I did 7 days straight of wrestling. And when you watch the first match of that to like the last one, it's a different wrestler.
Yeah.
You know, everything from just like the confidence, and you know, it's all about the crowd having fun. Like that's, you know, they're who pay for the tickets, they're the people you're there to entertain. And it's like just little things that I'm doing with the crowd, or like things that I'm like, I don't even know that I'm doing them, just body language that I'm doing. And like I watched it back, and I'm like, I've improved so much, to the point where like I will watch my old matches, right, and I hate them. I'm like, oh my god, I'm terrible. And like, you know, people are like, oh, you know, you were new, like, you know, you have to be fair, like you're only on your 10th match, or you whatever. But I watch it back, and because that All-Star week, like I just changed so much, I was like, you know, you can't even like bear to watch it back, because it teaches you how to like entertain the crowd. And it's crazy, because you learn to wrestle, right, and what is a wrestler's job is to entertain the crowd.
Yeah.
But it almost is like the last thing. Like when you're wrestling, you're thinking, oh, you know, what move am I doing, or this or this, where it's like, that's not even important. It's like, how can you make that crowd be at 100? Like, how can you get them to react? And it's like, I learned how to tell a story. I mean, my actual wrestling improved as well, but like just the learning to tell a story, and like taking my time, and actually like being with the crowd, and not kind of being like, you know, just being able to like engage with them and stuff. Like All Stars, honestly, just, I mean, I'm actually hoping that when things go back to normal, I was meant to be working with them later this year, so hopefully I'll get to work with them again, because I just think it just does wonders for you.
Yeah, you know? I've heard that the best part of wrestling All Star is you're going to be wrestling in front of people who aren't wrestling fans necessarily, because it's the little kids bringing their parents with them who might not be interested. So your goal is to get those guys too, the parents standing up and applauding you and cheering you on. Because if you can make them cheer, you can make anybody cheer.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like as well, you know, I mean, yeah, big names are on All Star, but no one is really advertised. And also the kind of people that go to these shows, they're just like WWE fans, you know, their families, they just want to see WWE kind of thing. They want to see wrestling, right? So they're not going because X, Y, or Z is on the card. They're just going because they want to see wrestling. So it's kind of like you really can't count on anything. You just have to go out there and literally from scratch get these people to know who you are. And I was in a mixed tag. It was me and Danny versus Monica and Fabio. They were an Italian couple. They were like, you know, the heels. And we just told like this match was so funny. And like for me, I'd never really done comedy wrestling, like a, you know, little odd thing here and there, but never really done it. And by like, you know, we were doing this match, and when I say the parents were just like screaming and shouting, because when you first come out, you know, the parents are kind of like, oh, you know, like if they're there for their kids, right?
Yeah.
By the end of it, they're like, oh my, you know, they're up out of their seats and stuff. And it was a cracking match, because it just like told a story, and it was so funny. And like the parents,
cool, like to have everybody standing up and getting involved, that must be really cool.
Yeah, you know what? Like it was a really nice feeling, because you just thought like, oh, we've actually done our jobs. Like we've done it. Like, you know, the whole point is there's nothing better, even as a wrestling fan, right? Do you remember, especially when you were younger, they're like, screaming at the telly or like getting involved and stuff, that's the best feeling as a fan. I watch football, right? So you're up there and you're shouting, you're screaming, all this. It's like that's the best feeling because it's like that passion, you're involved, you're having fun, like. And so to be able to make other people feel that way, just from like, just telling like a simple story, but just making it funny and like making them have fun, it's just like, oh god, class. Like, it's like, when someone laughs at your joke and you're like, yes, like it's like that.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. Yeah, like you're quite proud of yourself, like, oh, I'm funny.
Yeah.
We've spoken to Nathan Cruz previously, and he gives his basically full credit to All Star for making him the wrestler that he is. And there's people like Daniel Bryan, who obviously at the time was Bryan Danielson. He said he really became the wrestler he is when he did the All Star tours, because there's nothing like it. Like, even in America, you don't get those touring camp shows. You're in front of a different crowd every night, a different set of families, kids, everything. You've got like maybe 20 minutes for your match, and like you said, you've got to make them evoke some emotion, heel or face. You need to get them involved. And do you feel like All Star is shaping who you are as a wrestler now? Like, when you first started, you as most wrestlers are, they don't have much experience behind. Do you feel like All Star has fast tracked you into becoming that character that you are, that wrestler that you are now?
I think it's helped, like I say, with being able to engage with the crowd and my confidence. But I think there's a difference between so I trained for a year, right? Which is, people think that's quite a long time, but I just, I felt like I wanted to have a good debut, and I got to wrestle Nina Samuels, and, I'm really proud of my debut. Like, I watched it back, and normally, like, when I watch my matches back, I'm like, my early matches, I'm like, oh God, what am I doing? But you're always going to have that, right? But, I watched back and I actually thought, what, fair play. Like, you could see I'd worked hard, and, like the makings were there, but like I feel like All Star kind of puts it all together. Like, it's the in between moments that make a match. It's the like with WWE superstars, you never see them like stop or pause, or you can never tell that they're kind of they would never break anything. They just continue to tell the story. Like, it's almost like seamless, but they're having a scrap, so it's not complete. Do you know what I mean? But it's like there's never a moment where as someone watching it, you feel a bit like. But like it just flows, and I feel like All Star kind of does that for you. It just like sews everything together, and like you might be able to do X, Y, and Z, but it makes them make sense, and it makes you be able to just do them without thinking. And I think that's the main thing. It's like when you're first starting out, is like being able to just don't worry about the moves. Don't worry like, well, what if I don't hit this or this doesn't go right? It's like no, just like go out there and just be in that moment. And I think working shows back to back, like 7 days in a row, for example, it becomes like clockwork for you. You're not even thinking about that because you just nail it. Like, you've done it. You've done it a million times now. It's like you don't think about that, and it really makes you think about how can we make a moment. And we talk about the Undertaker, we talk about all these people because they were characters and they told stories, and that's why we're still talking about them like 20 years afterwards, because like they left a mark and they were able to tell that story. And I think All Star is like that because it is essentially a family show. So these people are WWE fans. They want to see like a story. They want to be entertained. They don't care who you are. They couldn't care if you were like the hottest name in independent wrestling or you were just nobody. Like, they don't care. They just want to be entertained. And like, it's almost a great thing because like, I'm new. So I have like no name behind me. So I got to go in there and kind of create one for myself. So I like, if anyone gets the chance, I'd always recommend it because and also it's really, really fun. Can I just say, like, being able to travel with them, and like everyone's so lovely, and you get to wrestle every night. Like, that's every wrestler's dream, really. Yeah.
So I remember we had Nathan couldn't praise it high enough, could he? It was possibly the greatest experience of his career, and he couldn't praise it enough. So it's nice to hear somebody else saying that as well. I've never actually been to an All-Star show, so I'm thinking when it happens again,
you've got to go. They're just fun.
They are.
I watch it because obviously, I watch it because you've got people like Joel Redmond on there, and I can just watch it from the sides and just learn. Like, for me, I'm just like trying to be a sponge. I'm trying to just like get as much as I can and learn, because it's like, when you learn to wrestle, you realize how much there is to it, and it can be so intimidating. Whereas like you can just watch people just kind of look at what they're doing and learn from them, but you get to watch the whole show. Like, sometimes, when I'm on, like, you stand and watch it. And you just think like, this is brilliant. Like, it's just funny. Like, the crowd are always laughing or booing. They get so into it. Like, honestly, and like sometimes you've got exit through the crowd, like the heels, and they're there, like ready. And it's just almost like it reminds you, like, you know, back in the day when like crowds were literally just so like in your face and stuff. And I just think how amazing that in the UK we've got those little gems and we've got those little shows, and you know, they're not on demand, they're not, you know, all over the internet, they're just organically wrestling, and you just have to organically learn how to get yourself over as a babyface and over as a heel, and you've got no help, you've just got to do it yourself. And yeah, it's amazing. You have to go and see one.
I'm going to throw Callum in the car boot next time. You know, when shows are back up and running, I'll sling him in the boot and we'll go to a show, Callum, because
they come to Hull like 4 times a year.
Yeah.
So we'll just go to All Star when they come here next. Like,
I love that you didn't even flinch. He's like, I'm going to put him in the boot, and you're like, yeah, they come 4 times a year. Let's do it.
That's just a normal thing. Like, I go in the boot every wrestling show we go to.
That's what I do, yeah. It's just the way we do it. I just open the boot and just gets in. You know, I'll leave him some bread and a little bottle of milk. It's fine.
Cheers, mate.
Okay,
speaking of All Star, like when wrestling comes back, obviously your goal is to wrestle with All Star as much as possible. But going forward, maybe like a year or so, where do you see yourself being? Is wrestling in the US something you want to do? Do you want to wrestle in Japan?
Definitely. So Japan is one of my big goals, but I think, like, for me, I just want to get a little bit further along before I go there, because the standard's so high. And, you know, it's twofold. Like, yeah, you're going to learn so much from being there, but I also just want to go there at a point where I'm at least good enough to kind of, you know, keep up. Yeah, I just think you would almost do an injustice to yourself if you went too early on, because you'd be too naive to kind of learn that extra level that makes them so good. Like, because, you know, Stardom's a really big goal of mine, but I just think I want to go a little bit further before I go there, so I can really take it up to the next level when I get there. So that's a really big goal of mine. And with America, I actually was meant to go later this year, and yeah, I mean, I'm not going to, because COVID-19, not feeling that, but that was something that was meant to happen. So hopefully I can kind of figure that out. And I was also meant to go to Germany, and I was meant to go to Finland and stuff. So all of that stuff, I think, will happen. It would just be like next year. But I think my goal for like at least the next 2 years is just, I mean, definitely if they'll have me, definitely All Star. Because like I said, it's like, it's so fun. And like, you became a wrestler because you love wrestling, right? And you want to have like the best job in the world. Like, you're having fun, right? But you learn so much. I definitely want to do All Star, and I definitely want to travel and try and, on my own back, kind of like wrestle internationally and kind of do it for myself, and experience it as like an independent wrestler. I think definitely for like at least the next few years, that's kind of what my goal is.
Are there any companies in America that stand out as somewhere you'd like to wrestle?
I don't want to set my heart on anything. I think it's best to kind of like, for me, I've just kind of said like, you know, I want to wrestle everywhere, but I don't, apart from Stardom, I can't help it. Like, I try not to, because it's like, you know, if you marry yourself to something too much and it doesn't work out, then you kind of will always feel like, oh, I didn't achieve that. Whereas, you know, I mean, and then it's hard to kind of give yourself credit for certain things. Like, so certainly for me, like the promotions I see even in the UK, right? And I'm like, they're incredible, I want to work for them, but I don't marry myself to it. I'm just like, that would be great if it happens, but like, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And I think, you know, with wrestling internationally, like, I'm not going to like marry myself to, I really, really want this. I'm just like, I want to wrestle, and whichever way that it happens, that would be like good for me, because I want to wrestle, and that's as simple as that.
Whatever happens, as long as you're wrestling, you're happy.
Yeah.
that's a fair goal to have. Can't really argue with that. Like,
that's made me happy hearing you say that. That's how much I enjoyed that. It truly has. You do it because you love it. It's simple as that. I love it. I'm so happy. Genuinely.
You're in a good mood today. You need to be on the podcast more often, Mariah, because he's been lovely today.
Yay!
He's me a hard time, but.
And you know what? I've been at work all day. It's Friday. I'm having a wonderful.
Oh yeah, it's Friday. I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore.
Does it matter anymore? Day of the week doesn't matter anymore. It's just every day is Sunday.
Exactly. I've got 2 days off now before I'm back at work, so I'm happy. We have a wonderful guest. You're okay, I guess. And
you've learned a few things. You know what Animal Crossing is now. You know what Switch is.
I know what Snitch was it?
A Switch. Snitch is from Harry Potter. Harry Potter's the film with the guy with the glasses. The
Yes, I've heard of it. I've not seen it, but I've heard of it.
one that I look like with glasses on. Like, remember?
I feel left out. I feel like I need to get my glasses.
Well, the reason I don't wear them is because I just get Harry Potter references all the time. It's like
really? Oh, I can kind of see it.
Please don't.
Sorry.
I've had that since I was 11. Like, oh, do you look like Harry Potter? Yeah, how do you know? Because everyone says it. But
now you said it, I can't unsee it. Like now
I get it. I get Tom Hardy all the time. So I totally.
It's uncanny. Yeah. You do look so much like Tom Hardy.
I get stopped in the street. You name it. It's just. It just gets too much at times. So I totally get you on that one.
I think it's the ginger beard that does it.
Mm.
It is magical. I'm not gonna lie.
Before we wrap things up, Mariah, I just want to say thank you for joining us today. It has been fantastic talking to you. And as I said to you before the interview, it would be cool to get you on when wrestling gets up and going again, and seeing what you are doing, and like let us know where we can find you. Because I usually say, where can we find you? What shows have you got coming up?
None.
That's a little bit hard at the moment to answer. But where can we find you on social media? And do you have anywhere we can buy Mariah May merchandise? Or is that's coming down the line?
Yes, I'm on Instagram, Twitter. It's at Mariah May X. I have my YouTube, which I do vlogs and stuff. I did vlogs. So you kind of see what it's like to kind of be an independent wrestler. It's youtube.com/Mariah May X. It's kind of a trend here. It's Mariah May X for everything. And then mariahmay.bigcartel.com for signed photos. Fantastic.
I'll put all those links in the description and hopefully get you on again sometime down the line. But thank you for joining us today. We've been Ringsiders. Mariah May.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.